Alright then, hello everyone and welcome to round 7 of the NEF1 Championship here in Season 5, taking place around La Castellier. I was about to say Magny-Cours, sorry, no, Paul Ricard in France for the French Grand Prix, and what will be the first full grid of this season. 20 drivers, including newcomers White Widow and NC31. It is going to be an absolute belter. 18 minutes of qualifying before I think it's a 9-lap sprint race and a 27-lap Grand Prix for the full 25 or 26 points if you can get the fastest lap point on top of it. 18 minutes then to cover 20 people in qualifying is going to be a challenge, but let's have a go at it. Track map is enabled. Let's see who is first out on track. It is none other Darren Styles. Scored his fast points this season last week out in Spain, hoping for another good one here when he held off Matty to the finish line last week then out in Spain. Brilliant performance, saw him voted driver of the day after the race as well. So when he is first out on track, I would assume not many people are going to take too long coming out of the pit. White Widow now out of pit lane for the first time in NEF1 in his AlphaTauri, a brand new AlphaTauri team consisting then of White Widow and NC31. Is going to be a interesting lineup to watch indeed. Still yet to see NC31, but he's just coming out of the pit lane there, as have most people. 20 people in the lobby then could create a bit of carnage potentially in this short qualifying session. As it is a short qualifying session, we'll keep an extra eye out for people impeding other people in on their qualifying runs. And those types of penalties can be a bit harsher now, since it's an 18-minute session. Most people only going to get 2 or 3 shots at getting these proper good lap times in. Let's see who emerges on pole position for the sprint race to come. The sprint race that's going to award 8 points to the winner and 1 point to the person in P8 and an extra point in between. Darren Styles then, first to come across the line to start a flying lap in the French Alpine Home Grand Prix for the Alpine outfit of Darren Styles and JV8. See if they can have a proper good showing this week then, as Darren Styles doesn't get off to the best start as he invalidates his lap, and I'm sure he won't be the fast, or I'm sure he won't be the last to do so. Gonzo then second, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Meki could be in between them. Meki is in between them. Let's go on board with Meki then, see what he can do up this lap, running a beautiful white lid back. See if he can hook a lap up here in the Ferrari. And getting a lovely tow off his teammate as well. AB keeps on an out lap though. Moves to the inside, just giving his teammate a bit of straight line speed, and perfectly executed by the 2 Ferraris there. BT's now got to watch himself to not get in the way of Gonzo, who tries to utilize as much of slipstream as he can. It's a purple sector 2 according to the game, although that doesn't speak for much in this year's game, unfortunately. Meki then through sector 3, this very, very snaily right-handed corner turns into a sweeping left-hander. You don't want to touch the inside curb, as I learned last season. It will spin you out. Here we go then, Meki run final couple of corners here. He's coming up to the back of an Alpine. That'd be Darren Styles again. Might actually be getting a little bit of a tow off that Alpine on the main straight now. DRS has been enabled. Let's see what he can make it this lap. It's going to be a 1:31.247. Goes up into P1. Gonzo beats that by a couple of tenths of a second. 1:30.992 to set the pace here. Jamar out on track as well. Next to cross the line is going to be Djokovic, 39.1, not really representative. We have a Mercedes about to cross the line as well. That is not Wigan, that is Matty. Is he having a good lap time? Let's wait and see. It's going to be about a 1:31.796. Good enough for P3. Next cross the line then is going to be one of the white Haas cars. It's not going to be Snocken, it's going to be OG Kush. And it's going to be a 1:32.488. Next cross line, one of the new boys in the AlphaTauri. It's going to be White Widow. If I'm not mistaken, I think that lap might have been invalidated. But here comes NC31 for his first lap in an EF1. 1:31.577, straight up in P3. P3, solid lap from the newcomer. Wigan goes up in P5, 32 flat for the Mercedes. A couple of attempts back on his teammate. McLaren about to cross the line. Don't think that was to set a lap. I think Jamer has just done so, yes indeed, and just goes out of Wigan by a couple of hundredths of a second. He's up into P5. Then we have an Alpine about to cross the line. That's JV8. Where is he going to place himself? Nowhere, because he has invalidated last lap and this lap. Then we have, I believe it is Hybrid 472K. He's about to start a flying lap, and another Alpine, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be Darren Stahl, 132.771. Then we have a spinning Djokovic, is not having a brilliant qualifying session. Reverses out of the way of his teammate Gaitsevo. He's on an out lap trying to get his run as little interrupted as he can. Ferrari about to come across line of a BT, but it doesn't matter, he's invalidated anyways. And then we have Mercedes in sector 3. Probably not going to do too much. That'll be Matt. He's probably heading into the pit lane. 8 seconds up. Yes, indeed, he is heading into the pit lane. Snocken's already in it. And we probably have White Widow is coming into the pit lane as well. We have a Red Bull, both on outlap. We'll keep an eye on those in a moment. Dards in sector 3, so is Nixor. Running awfully high revs there, can't really get the car geared up, and he's heading into the pit lane. Is Nixor 4. Let's see where Dard is heading with this lap. He is opting to complete it, heading into the last corner now then. Right-handed hairpin basically, and onto the DRS straight. DRS enable is not going to be a brilliant one. It's going to be a 1:32.896, only good enough for P9 for Dard. Slowest representative time so far. Hybrid's about to cross line. Did wonders in Spain last week, did well in Portugal. Let's see what he can do with this lap. It's going to be up in P3 for Hybrid, 1:31.465, and he's really finding his pace this season. Next cross lineman is probably going to be Geitz. Yes, indeed. Djokovic is probably heading into the pit lane, you would assume. Geitz, where is he going to finish with this lap? It's going to be a 31.457, just a couple of thousandths ahead of Hybrid. Goes P3 this Geitz. Djokovic is heading into the pits indeed. Then we have another Mercedes of Wigan or Matty. I believe that's Matty. And he's actually opting to complete this lap. Has he already been in for a new set of tyres? Is it going by this fluently? Let's wait and see. Matty Van heading up to the line, and it is going to be an improvement by a 10th, stays P6. Then we have a Haas coming across the line, OG Kush, invalidated lap, not going to count for much. Red Bull in the pit lane, that is Danny DC, wasn't able to get a proper run in. Iwatts is in the 3rd sector. Snocken is just about to start a flying lap as well. Let's see where he can get through with that. Only 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session, halfway through already. Currently Gonzo on provisional P1, followed by Meki, Geitze, Hybrid, and NC31. Iwatts then, 1:31.635 for the Jamaican British driver. He is lining up P6 provisionally behind NC and Hybrid. We have Cool Ice Cube currently yet to set a time. Snocken yet to set a time. A lot of people in the pit lane currently. Wait and see when they decide to come out and make an appearance yet again. So far then, all good for all of these drivers. Snocken 75 getting a little bit tail happy coming out of the left chicane. Now heading into the flat right-hander, getting very much on track limits there, which you have to do in order to get a good lap time around here. A couple of different lines you can take through this corner. He's opting for the tied inside line, does Snocken. Works quite well for him. Using up a lot of the AstroTurf on the outside to try to make the track even wider than it already is. Getting left by an Alfa Romeo there. I think that was Cool Ice Cube. And now into the final couple of corners then. Snocken, who looked mightily impressive towards the first couple of races this season. What can he do with this attempt at France? Only a 1:33.179. It's disappointment for Snocken. season P13, only ahead of Djokovic out of those who have set a time. Snixor Forvan heading through chicane after the DRS straight. He has a certain White Widow riding his chuff as well. Let's see what kind of times these two can deliver. Cool Ice Cube just started a lap as well. ABT yet to set a time. We'll watch out for that one. He's running a yellow helmet with a Dutch flag on. That photo is going to wear something completely different. But well, nice helmet sign for a BT. He's actually about to cross the line to set his first lap. But he's not going to be competitive at all. JV8 has just started his. Snixor is now wrapping his up. 6-7 minutes to go. Ooh, and that's very close to a corner cut from Snixor there, but just gets away with it according to the game. And is going to be a 32.326 for Snixor, just behind Wigan by a couple of tenths of a second. And now White Widow, where is he going to be able to place himself? Off the track over the course of the lap, and lap time has been invalidated. Got to get a good run out of this last corner now and go again. Danny DC then, around his favorite track on the game, used to be France at least. See if he can keep that momentum up. It's been absolutely brilliant here past stages of the league. So let's see what kind of result he can get. Still looking for his first win this season in NEF1. Gonzo improves on his fastest lap by a couple of tenths of a second. 1:30.768, which is necessary because NC31 has set 1:31.134, and now Djokovic is matching that almost with a 1:31.152. Meki not far behind, Wigan not far behind as well, Gaitze not far behind. It's close at the top here in NEF1. Let's see then, Danny just coming around the last corner now. He's going to be able to ace this and put it on provisional pole position. Where is Danny going to be lining up on this grid? It is going to be Prix 4 provisionally, 1:31.231 for Danny DC. As White Widow runs into yet more problems with another invalidated lap here, having trouble sticking to the track limits around France, which is one of the most tricky tracks of them all to actually get a proper lap in. So easy to just go a little bit wide. Still waiting for a lap from ABT, White Widow and Cool Ice Cube. They'll all have time to go again. But all eyes on this man at the moment. SGF1 Gonzo has an iron grip on this qualifying session. All eyes on this man as well. NC31, his first qualifying session in NEF1, currently up in P2s, having a very solid debut for that AlphaTauri team. Matty out on track, shaving tenths of his time as well. 1:31.6 is the current time. Are we going to see him towards the top? It's tied at the front. 5 tenths of a second, half second, we'll see him up in P2. So let's wait and see what Matty can deliver. It's a brilliant driver when it comes to qualifying and just shaving off temps. As we can see there, 6 tenths down. Let's see if he can shave off even more time during this crucial third sector. But this is a track that eats up tires. Let's see how much tires he has left over the course of this sector 3, which is very tire demanding indeed. Oh, and there goes that lap for Matty MC. Just goes over the track limits, gets it invalidated. Is he going to be diving it into the pit lane? No. Opts to have one more go at it. Does he have enough battery to go at it? Let's wait and see. Well, it's not going to be this attempt. Going to be doing one cool down lap, getting the battery all charged up, and then we go again. Hybrid currently out there on track as well. 1:31.465 is his current best time. As J Mars heading off track as well in sector 3. Let's see, even a BT, Widow, and Cool Ice Cube all out on laps at the moment. White Widow just coming out of the pit lane for his outlap. Cool Ice Cube just spinning coming out of turn 2. Not an ideal qualifying session at the moment for Cool Ice Cube. Really struggling here at France. A BT event, I believe this is actually him wrapping up a qualifying lap, or wrapping up a qualifying out lap, sorry. Yes, indeed it is. He'll have one more go at it, but here, look at Meki. He has popped in 1:30.877, getting very close to Gonzo, but that might have been Meki's final chance to do something about that Gonzo pole position at the moment. We'll have to wait and see come the end of this qualifying session. Gonzo out and out lap. Might want to improve a little bit because NC31, Djokovic and Danny not too far behind. Wigan is there as well, along with Gaitza. Hybrid currently on a slow lap. Matty's on a very slow lap. Let's see, this is a crucial lap for BT. Got to hook something up here. His teammate all the way up in P2. He is down in P18 at the moment. Getting left go there by a Williams. I believe that might have been Gonzo. Yes, it was. Good sportsmanship. A BT man flying through the sweeping right-hander. Heading into sector 3 now. Crucial to get this right-hander right if you want to be able to get a good lap time in. BT just goes a bit wide, but you can make that line work through there if you plan ahead for it. Let's see, even through the final sector is looking solid so far for a BT in that blood red Ferrari. First time he's in that car in NEF1. Still maybe getting used to it ever so slightly. A lot of different engine sign reference points. Takes some time to get used to. A BT van, not been necessarily brilliant one. Where's he going to place that Ferrari? It's only good enough for a 33.796, which doesn't actually see you move anywhere, even though he does get a competitive lap time in. NC31 has had a problem. He has a spinning... Oh, and he has a 5-place grid penalty after a collision with Darren Style. And I've missed how that happened. But we'll have to look at it after the event, I'm sure. NC31 then is heading into the pit lane, disappointed with that, I'm very sure. Darren Style as well without a front wing here at the end of qualifying and at the death of qualifying. Where is Matty? He was charging up his battery. He's not going to be able to make it work. He's going to be starting at top P10. Who else do we keep an eye on? White Widow has got to make this lap work, and by the look of things, he is. At the moment, not invalidating. Surely if he invalidates now, it would be the most massive fuck-up in any F1 history. He's going to complete this lap. Where he's going to place himself is going to be P18, forces BT down to P19. Disappointing qualifying. Cool Ice Cube doesn't get a lap time in. That is your bottom 3 sorted out. JV8 currently going a little bit faster than his previous attempt. Gonzo still has that provisional pole position. NC31 not going to be able to challenge that. Djokovic is currently out on the lap. Is he challenging 4 positions higher up the field? Danny is as well, but he has invalidated his lap. Let's not pay more attention to that one. Djokovic, what is he going to be able to do in that Aston Martin? Is he going to be able to challenge at the very top? Yes, he does! And by a couple of hundredths of a second, he snatches pole, but Gonzo snatches it right back. It's a 1:30.651, just ahead of Djokovic's 1:30.755, and Djokovic is going to be devastated with that. Thought he had it for a moment, but Gonzo says thank you very much, snatches it right back, and that is gutting for Djokovic, but it is still a front row start for Djokovic. 5.981, the current runner-up in the championship. What is he going to be able to improve here? No, does not. And then we have BT heading into the pit lane, and that is your grid set for the sprint race. It is going to be Gonzo from Djokovic, from Meki, from NC31, but with that 5-place grid penalty, keep that in mind. Danny in P5. Dodd had a very solid one at the end in P6, putting in the practice, and it does show. Wigan in P7, followed by Gaitza, current champion in P8, Hybrid in P9, and Iwatts P10. Matty P11, Snokin in P12, J Marn OG Kush P13, P14, Snixor P15 there. 2 Alpines, Darnstall and JV8 at their home race in 16th and 17th. Debutant White Widow XX in 18, followed by BT, and Cool Ice Cube wasn't able to get a lap time in. He starts last. As Matt is putting the banter on himself in chat there, not really being able to put a proper lap together, I'm sure he feels like. But what a lap that from SGF on Gonzo, right at the death. I thought Djokovic just snatched it for a couple of moments. But no, Gonzo said thank you very much, and I'll have that right back. So then, as we are looking forward to the sprint, we are going to have a couple of minutes break before we do enter the sprint race to come. So no one is allowed to ready up. We'll be going to a quick break as soon as we realize no one has. And then we'll get going in a couple of minutes for the sprint race here in France. But Gonzo on pole, followed by Djokovic and Meki. So then I can just announce real quick, we'll be going to a quick ad break for just a couple of minutes to get the pre-roll ads away for anyone joining the stream. We'll be back with you in a couple of minutes time for the sprint race here at Paul Ricard in France for the French Grand Prix. So here we go then, we are back after that quick ad break and waiting for the race to start. We're going to have 9 laps of racing action to decide the starting grid for the Grand Prix. So I'm just looking at my current driver's briefing to make sure I'm not lying to you. Indeed, 9 laps worth of sprint race action and 27 laps for the Grand Prix. But 9 laps worth of sprint race action here could prove quite a massive change in the starting order for the Grand Prix. Let's have a look at that one real quick before we get going here in a couple of minutes' time. If I can actually get a look at it. Yes, indeed. Is Gonzo starting on pole position on medium tire? Everyone's going to be doing a 0-stop medium tire start here. Djokovic in P2 is going to be challenging, very, very good at starts. He's going to be challenging right into turn 1. Meki and NC31 starting P3 and P4. That penalty doesn't apply on NC31 until the Grand Prix, so he will want to gain as many positions as possible. He's going to be starting 5 places back for the Grand Prix. Danny in P5, Dodd with a good qualifying in P6. Biggest surprises, Beatty with a lap that he felt was solid, only good enough for P19, slowest out of anyone who's at a time. White Widow, 18th there with a late lap as well. Darren Style was able to get a decent lap in, but that was eclipsed by Snixor and OG Kush. But a very, very close qualifying session here, as we have been given the ready up and will be going in a couple of seconds. And as Gonzo pointed out in the Discord as well now, this is probably going to be the last league race NEF1 does at France. This is going to be gone for next year. I don't know if they'll bring it in as DLC track. Let's hope so. It's a good track for league racing, but dropped off the F1 calendar. So no more France in F1. So let's close it out with a banger here. Predicted pit stop strategy event, 0 stop, medium or hard. Could probably make us at a soft work with this low fuel load, but the tires would wear out massively towards the end. Gonzo from Djokovic from Meki from NC31 then, with that 5 place grid penalty for the Grand Prix to come. Danny in P5, Dodd P6, followed by Wigan Guide to Hybrid 9 watts is your top 10. Only the top 8 scores points here though. No points for fastest lap, 8 points for the win and 1 point for P8. Matty starting just outside the top 10 in P11, disappointed with that qualifying, was not able to get a lap which according to him was going to be good enough for pole position even perhaps. Wasn't able to get it quite over the line without getting that track limits invalidation. Snocking in P12 after a decent qualifying. He was going to be hoping for more though. Jamar in P13 followed by Kush and Snixor. A lot of Swedish people down there. Kush, Snokken and Snixor all at the top 10. Darren Stahl and JVA P16 and 17 followed by White Widow, BT and Cool Ice Cube. But then that is your starting grid for this 20-man sprint race. 9 laps of racing action to come here at Paul Ricard in France. As Gonzo is going to be lining it up on the outside, I believe pole position is here at Paul Ricard. It's actually going to be the inside, so he has all the advantage heading into turn 1. Djokovic is going to have to get a really good start off if he wants to be able to challenge here. That is a perfect park fare from Djokovic by all accounts, as everyone is starting to line it up here. Cool Ice Cube is going to be the last one to line up. Snokken missed his parking just a little bit, so the Snixor and JV8 are going to be starting further back in their grid slots. But then that is the last of the cars all lined up then. We have Gonzo on pole, we have Djokovic in P2, we have Meki in P3. That's an exciting top 3, and it's 5 red lights. And it is. Lights on, away we go here at the French Grand Prix, and Djokovic gets away well. Gonzo not so much, and Djokovic is going to be challenging him down into turn 1. Round the outside is going to have to go. Is he going to be able to make it? Gonzo has the inside, just holds it at the apex. The two come together at turn 1, turn 2, and that is Djokovic around. This is huge for the championship. Gonzo and Djokovic make contact heading into turn 2. Meki takes P2 just behind Gonzo. Wigan P3, Danny P4, NC31 drops the position to P5. Let's get those position changes up. See who's the biggest winners of this start. Djokovic down 15, Dard down 12, 13 positions. I think he got collected by Djokovic there. Biggest winners of this start. BT gains 6 positions up to start. Gaitza gained 2 crucial positions. Matty up 2 as well. OG Kush up 4. But that is massive for the championship. Djokovic not out, but out of contention early here at the sprint race, falling down all the way down to 17th. NC31 then is now falling behind Geitze here on lap 1, heading into the sweeping right hand. He's down P6, going to be starting P11 if he finishes that far down. Still going to score points though, so at the moment NC31 on his way to debut points here. Gonzo at the moment has a lead of about 1 second. Meki just holding on to that gap. Wiggins just falling back a bit too much, and Danny's right there as well. As iWatts goes a little bit wide, that is going to allow Hybrid to have a little think about it, and that's going to invite Matty to the conversation as well. Hybrid quite close to iWatts, but it's not a heavy braking zone into turn 1, can't really go for any diving moves there. And Hybrid knows that, makes better of it, and tries to set iWatts up for a move later on in lap wraps. Then we have Snokken right in the back of his teammate OG Kush. See if these two swap positions quite soon, as OG Kush just gets a little bit loose at the exit of the right-hand corner for this long straight, leading all the way down into the, I think it's turn 12 and 13 perhaps chicane. Snokken gaining, not quite gaining enough to think about a move down inside into chicane. No really heavy braking zones on this track. Have to be basically alongside to be able to make a move work here. As AB, he's now lost a couple of positions. He's in P15. White Widow hanging right with him at the moment, and now coming under pressure from Djokovic. Started on the front row, now we're here. Gotta make the most of it. He is down the inside of White Widow. The two are gonna go side by side, heading into the sweeping right-handed. Djokovic, former champion versus newcomer. White Widow, is he gonna be able to make that move work? Two are still side by side, heading into the sweeping left-hander. Djokovic forced a little bit off track, and he's going to have to concede that after a little bit of time. To White Widow keeps P16. They are losing time to a beat in the cars ahead. Dodd is right there as well. He's going to start taking an interest in this. Also going to be mad after that start. Matty now right on the back of his real-life friend iWatts, former championship rivals as well. This one's gonna be a bit spicy for the last point in the sprint race as well. Here we go then, heading on to the last first DRS zone of the track and of the race. Matty is going to have the DRS on iWatts. iWatts has a DRS on the car ahead, but Matty gets a massive run coming out of the sequence ahead, and he's going to have that position before we get to the braking zone. Easy as you like. Matty up in P8, snatches a point away from iWatts here. So I'm sure Danny would like Matty's teammate Wigan well out of his way at the moment, currently dropping back a little bit every lap on Meki and Gonzo. And the frustration is going to be increasing every single lap for Danny DC as things stand. Geitze as well on the back of that little battle, and NC31 not too far behind, still within DRS range. Hybrid just fallen off a little bit. Right now, Geitze is actually closer to Danny than Danny is to Wigan, so that could be an interesting little development here. But then again, this is the DRS train effect taking place here. So Danny gets closer to Wigan, might be able to force the Swede into a mistake here coming out of turn 2. No, not this time. Long back straight to go though, heading into the chicane. See how quick Danny's car is in a straight line in comparison to the Mercedes. Let's see, even just dropping back a little bit coming out of that tight twisty section. That is going to cost him a chance perhaps at this overtake. Geitze is looking increasingly feisty on Danny though. And Danny gets close, but not close enough. Darren Stahl, 3-second time penalty for multiple track number warning, same for Hybrid. Geitze is now right on the back of Danny as well. This might actually be a battle between Geitze and Danny rather than Danny and Wigan. Wait and see then. Red lights flashing on the back of that Red Bull. Is it low charge or low deployment? yet to know. I'm sure Geitz is going to find out in a moment on the back or on the main straight. Neutral at the top end of the field. Gonzo's leading Meki by about 2.5 seconds. White Widow picks up his first time penalty in NEF1. It's the standard 3 second for multiple track limits in fractions. Djokovic has now started climbing his way up the field, up to P14. Danny still unable to get past the Mercedes of Wigan. So let's see then, heading on to the DRS straight once again. It's right through these couple of corners, where Wiggins just able to pull away a bit from Danny, get himself properly out of the danger zone maybe. Danny is now catching, but he's not catching by enough. Geitz is right there as well. Danny just can't get close enough to Wiggins to start thinking about a move just yet. Closes in a lot on the braking though, and he'll take notice of that over the next coming laps. See where he can start planning perhaps a diving move down the inside. Hybrid right on the back of Matty as well for what's currently P7. Likely to turn into P6 for the starting grid of the Grand Prix. Djokovic is getting increasingly close to OG Kush here, coming around the last couple of corners. See if he can make a move down into turn 1 perhaps. OG Kush won't have any DRS on the car ahead, which is beat. He's about 2 seconds up the road. Djokovic picks up the slipstream and heads to the inside of turn 1, which is a corner he'll be a bit wary of now. Just squeezing OG Kush towards the outside. 2 makes light contact, but Djokovic is through nice and clean. That is P13 for the sweep. As we're coming up to the back straight once again, Danny on Wigan is just losing a bit of ground, but now Geitz is right there, and this might be it for Danny DC. Geitz with a massive run, heading towards the inside into the chicane, and Geitz is putting himself in prime position to have that position over Danny. 2 goes towards the outside, but Danny just opens up the corner. Geitz closes the corner a little bit too much on himself, has to take too narrow of a line, and Danny keeps P4. Brilliant defense from Danny. Sloppy attempt at an overtake from Geitz and not opening up the corner more. Now NC31 riding that battle as well. JV8 now, 3 second time penalty, multiple track warnings. And keep in mind, all these time penalties actually go towards a worse starting position on the grid for the actual Grand Prix to come. So not ideal picking those up. Here we go then, Danny's closing in on Wigan on the main straight, but not quite close enough still. Here we go then, still a long way up towards Wigan, but Geitz is right there on Danny yet again. Danny defended the outside last time. Is Geitz gonna throw it around the outside this time? Who just sticks it in there for the chicane, but Danny's just able to defend it yet again, and Geitz stays behind Danny for the time being. P4 and 5 as things have stood for the last couple of laps. Lap 7 out of 9 everybody, this race is coming to its end. 2 laps to go at the end of this one, as NC is right on the back of Geitz as well. I wonder who's holding up who at the moment. ABT now ahead of Snixor for position up in P11. Oh, and throwing it down the inside of Snocking clumsily does a BT. Has that given him a bit of damage, perhaps? Snixor's now Ryan is outside, heading towards the penultimate corner. Now we're going to be able to make that work on BT. That was a weird move from ABT on Snocking that from the little that I saw of it. I'd love to see the full move. As none of these drivers really able to make an overtake work now. Now it's a train from Wigan down to his teammate Matty in P7. Wigan at the moment holding on to that podium, but by a thread. But he is just able to pull away by, well, more than enough when we get to the DRS zone. And Danny really isn't able to get anywhere near Wigan at the moment. Guides us consistently being able to get near Danny, however. As Danny just has a little bit of a slip moment coming out of the first part of the hairpin, but not enough to really worry him or trouble Gaitza. Sabiti's making moves, still is now on the back of Iwatts for P9. And with a little bit of luck now with time penalties, ABT could be on for points here. We'll have to wait and see. But if so, it'd be a brilliant recovery drive in this sprint. Oh, as Iwatts opens up the inside of the sweeping left-handed, BT tries to go for it, but Iwatts just able to get the power down early enough and maintain that move. ABT, you're going to have to cut that one off, mate. You were off track. Here we go then, last chance, lap 9 out of 9, Danny on Wigan, Gaitza on Danny, NC on Gaitza and Matty on NC. Last chance these are going to have to go at it. Danny now markedly closer to Wigan than on previous attempts. Gap's only about half second, be heartbreaking for Wigan to lose it now, but there's a very big chance that he will. Gaitza might help Wigan's cases though, because he is close enough to Danny, and surely he's going to send one. No, he doesn't. Danny not able to send one on Wigan as well. And it looks like as things stand, things are going to stay as they are. Wigan just desperately trying to shake the slipstream of Danny, who is closing and closing, heading into Sector 3, closing stages of this race. Gonzo is going to take the sprint win, unless he does a mistake here, but Wigan just goes a little bit wide. That invites Danny to the party. Gaitza has gone wide, that's invited NC for P5, saving his skin a little bit for the Grand Prix to come. Going to be starting one place higher up, but Wigan is just going to be able to hang on to that P3. Danny has to concede for P4. Gonzo takes the sprint race win, followed by Meki and Wigan. Danny tried hard, just wasn't enough this time. NC is going to be finishing right behind Danny actually in P5. Brilliant debut race for NC31. Gaitza in P6, Matty in P7. Hybrid is going to be finishing P8 and BT just outside the points by 3/10 of a second in P9. Djokovic P10, followed by Iwatts, Dart, Snixor, Cool Ice Cube, Snockin OG Kush, J-Mar, White Widow, Darnstyle and JV8 had a mare in the sprint race. They're going to be starting 18th and 20th. So then that is your sprint race order. Points handed out to the top 8 there. Keep in mind that NC is going to have that 5-place grid penalty for the Grand Prix. So let's have a look at what the grid is going to look like for the race to come. Gonzo is going to be starting on pole position, followed by Meki and Wigan doing brilliantly to hold up to P3 there. Danny in P4, followed by Geitz in P5. Matty takes P6, followed by Hybrid and a BT. Djokovic in P9, good recovery drive from him. NC31 after a brilliant qualifying and a good sprint race. Sadly only going to be starting P10. Let's see where he can climb back up. I was just outside the top 10 in P11, Dodd in P12 after contact at the fast corner. Also good recovery drive from him being down in 18th, 17th at the end of lap 1. With teammate Snixor right behind him. Cool Ice Cube's going to be starting 14, followed by Snocken and OG Kush, two Haas cars in P15 and 16. Jamar having a poor one in here in France for the sprints, going to be starting P17. Darren Style, White Widow, and JV8 for P18, 19, and 20. Also, crying out loud, I'm going to have to rejoin the lobby real quick, as I'm, for some reason, unable to close this down. So I'll be going to a loading screen real quick, and I'll be right back with you in a moment. Okay then everyone, so there we go. Hopefully we should be back and appearing on the stream as intended. Let's not go into the race director anymore. We'll wait until the start of the Grand Prix to move off this screen. Not the fast time that's happened, but thankfully just being able to get rid of the issue rather quickly. But if we do have a look, because I don't need to go into the race director to do that, let's have a look at the current Drivers' Championship standing real quick before we get this underway. And Gonzo is leading that from Djokovic and Meki, 124 to 111 to 100. Matty a couple of points behind in P4. Geitz and Wigan very close to each other in P5 and 6, with Danny and Snocken right behind them. Then there's a little bit of gap to Jamar and Iwat. Hybrid and BT are quite close to them as well. Dart on 9 points had a pretty decent start to season now, properly getting his paces up. Cool Ice Cube and Snixor scoring a couple of points each. OG Kush and Darren Stahl both with the sole point. JV8 still waiting for his fast. And these two off-Tarry seats are no longer occupied by Harry Howard, who's left the league. Now we have NC31 and White Widow, who are going to be occupying these. With NC31 already scoring a couple of points in the sprint. Looking to the team championship then, we have Aston Martin out in front on 165 points versus Williams, who's had a strong start to the season on 143, and Mercedes on 125. So the constructors battle is on. Ferrari there as well on 111. Meki at the moment doing most of the legwork for that Ferrari team, but ABT is getting up there as well. Decent recovery here in France. See if he can score a couple of points there today. Red Bull, a couple of points behind in P5. They're leading kind of midfield battle by a margin over Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, a couple of points behind, and Alpine with the sole point so far, but everyone has scored. So then, as we're properly looking forward to a brilliant one. Also very close to 120 followers. If we could reach that during the course of the Grand Prix, that'd be massive for us. It'd be absolutely brilliant. So feel free to help us reach that, say 150 follower goal that we're gonna set for the league towards the end of the season. If we could get there, that'd be brilliant. Try to grow the league ever so slightly more. But then it's looking very, very grim here at Paul Ricard in France, actually. Overcast conditions. So let's see how that affects the track conditions. Could be quite cool. As James Taylor is saying, cough, cough, next week comes. And I can actually confirm that, as we're going to have James Taylor in the actual commentary booth here in NEF1. He's not just going to be joining us on party, he's actually going to be here right next to me, flying over from Britain to Sweden and joining me for that broadcast, which is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Austria next week. So that is going to be an absolutely massive one. I'm very much looking forward to having him here. On the 2nd of February, don't miss out on that one. Austrian Grand Prix, as said, regular qualifying back next week. But here we go then. Gonzo takes the green flag for the formation lap over Mecki and Wigan. Danny and Geitze makes up a very diverse, in terms of teams, top 5. Matty, first doublet, down in P6, starting behind his teammate, which he's done a couple of times this season. Still leading him in the championship. However, we'll see how those two get along. If they are actually starting to squabble a bit for position, maybe even inside the team. Hybrid in P7, ABT in P8, Djokovic down in P9, and then C31 had a very, very good sprint race. He's down in P10 for the Grand Prix. Let's see what he can do from there. Iwat just outside the top 10 in P11, followed by Dart and Snick. Full Ice Cube. After not being able to get a lap in the qualifying session, he's now up in P14 for the Grand Prix, not too far away from points. Both the Haas cars are going to be disappointed with their starting position, P15 for Snocken and P16 for OJ Kush. Jamar is going to be massively disappointed with starting in P17 here, but it is what it is. He'll have to make the most of it, and I'm sure he will. Darren Stahl in P18, White Widow in his debut in P19, JV8 down in P20 and starting last here in NEF1 for the French Grand Prix that's about to get underway any minute now. Predicted one-stop strategy as well. Hard to medium tire. Let's see what tire everyone's on. A couple of people towards the back opting to start on the medium tires to get the better launch and potentially making the most of that first stint. That is OG Kush, it's Darren Stahl, it's White Widow, and it's JV8 starting on the softer medium tire. This is a track which eats tires as well. So I'll have to see how long those mediums last on the high fuel load that is accompanied with the start of a 50% race. It's going to be quite different how these cars handle now than they did on the opening stages of the sprint race. As Kokos Bjarne is saying, "Go Darren, welcome back to the stream, mate. Missed you for a couple of weeks. Hope you're doing good. Awesome to see you back." Gonzo Van lines it up on pole position as JV8 is spinning it into the wall on the formation lap. White Widow's probably going to be the last one to line it up. Then JV8 just gets there, but he's in an awkward position. He's going to be starting a bit further back than he would have liked. But here we go then for the French Grand Prix. We have the lights finally coming on. It's 5 red lights, and it is lights out. And away we go as we have a Mercedes getting away awfully well. That is Matty MC getting a brilliant start. Gonzo managing to hold on to the lead here, but Wigan jumped Mecki right on that start. He's up into P2. Couple of people out of the race is SFLY Jamar. Dart down positions yet again on the start, and we have carnage towards the back. And the safety car comes out after just one corner worth of racing action. SFLY Jamar, sadly, is out of the Grand be running here. Formal invitation now, Jamar. If you do want to, there is a seat next to me on comms this week as well, if you do still want to be joining in on the action. Very much sorry about that incident. Didn't quite see what happened. It says, cheers, Jeff. Don't know quite what happened. I'm sure we'll have a look after the race. Gonzo then holds the lead from Wigan, who's up one position on Meki, who got away poorly. Djokovic had a very, very good start, up 3 positions, whereas NC31 down 1 position, down in P11. BT actually dropped 2 positions on start in P10. iWatts with a good one in P9. JV8 with a good one as well, up 6 positions, the biggest gainer out of anyone on start, up in P14 from last. Foggy Fast then, cheering on Dodd6969. Awesome to have you in the stream, mate. So then, safety car out almost straight away. Very, very disappointing to see Jamar drop out of race so early. It is going to be quite a long vacation from driving for the Canadian Williams driver. Gonzo's now going to have to do the heavy lifting for the constructors in this little week. Wigan in P2, as previously mentioned, got away quite well. So did Matty, I think, got away brilliant. But then I think he just fell back towards the latter stages of the start, heading down to turn 1 perhaps. Maybe just ran out of room or anything. He's down in P7, actually lost the position, even though he got away absolutely brilliantly. But then, under the safety car conditions, I wonder which safety car it is. It is the Mercedes AMG safety car, best looking one. I do very much miss the silver that used to be on the safety car. As for some reason, hybrid start lights didn't come. Yes, indeed, Jamer, you can co-commentate. I'm just gonna make sure I have the setting enabled, and I'll invite you to the party whilst we're on the safety car. So then, should be enabled so that we can now hear Jamer. We tried to do this once earlier in the season with Joe Leash. Sadly, it didn't work then. But now Jamer should be getting that checkbox, hopefully, so we can get him on stream. Let me know if you get that checkbox, mate.
Hello.
Indeed, I can hear. Hopefully the stream can hear you. Please, people, let us know if you can hear him as well. If not, we'll get on a fix as soon as we can. Hey Jamar, how you doing?
Good, after doing not even 100 meters, so
100 meters of running in your French Grand Prix came to an early end, I'm afraid. Just what went on?
just movement at the start. Dard got hit, and then yeah, he came into me, so I then hit the wall.
Unfortunate racing incident. Bound
Yeah, it was
to
a racing
happen on the
incident,
first lap.
Yeah, especially with it tight
Oh,
down into
very
turn 1.
Yeah, very, very weird turn 1 this. Basically just a sweeping corner, if you take it at the right approach. And yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, that incident. Would love to see what you were able to do. But then again, starting quite far back, and it proved actually quite difficult to overtake around this track as well, early on in the sprint race. Did you find it that way? Maybe a bit tricky to overtake?
Yeah, well, I got hit going into turn 1, so I was down like 8 or 9 positions just off the start, so it is what it is. I made 4 positions, that's all I really do, really. Everyone else is just so quick at the moment.
Yeah, indeed, it is the league really has come a long way. Since when was it you joined Season 1, Season 2, thereabout? We've developed quite a fair bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
Gunning some massively quick blokes in. Including, well, at the moment, your teammate who's leading this race, as we are now getting the message from race control that the safety car is coming in this lap, which means he does get to control the pace. But what do you reckon for Gonzo's chance of securing this win for Williams, which would be his 4th win of the season, if I'm not mistaken?
If he keeps it on the track, he's winning it. Ridiculously quick.
Well,
his
you
tyre
had it
wear.
there first. Indeed,
He'll spin it now
the
into
tyre
first
wear
corner.
around here is going to be the big one. A couple of people got away with cheap pit stops now in the safety car, maybe getting rid of their mediums. I don't know if they'll actually be able to run hard towards the end of the Grand Prix. I remember last time I raced here, back in Season 4, I remember the mediums being dreadful. It was wet to dry conditions, but I remember the mediums being absolutely dreadful. As soon as you got into hards, way better. But here we go then. Gonzo has bunched the field up. Safety cars in the pit lane. He'll be able to restart this race at any point. Might want to wait. No, he goes straight out of the last corner. And Wigan has no chance anticipating that one. And we already have overtaking before the control line's even gone past. Then he has to let that one go. And he loses quite a fair few more positions because of it. Hybrid gets a 3-second time penalty coming into the first corner. As something's gone on there for Hybrid. Did you see that one? Sounded like you made an ooh sound.
Hybrid just just got tagged from behind, I think, and then spun round.
Very, very unfortunate. Yeah, because Djokovic is now down there as well. I don't think turn 1 is going to be his favourite corner at the end of this event, surely. Something I want to point out as well, someone who made a brilliant start, up 8 positions with JV8, is White Widow. Made an absolutely brilliant start, a brilliant restart. It's up on the fringes of the points right now. Ahead of his teammate NC31, who had a brilliant sprint race run.
Yeah.
As right now, Guides is going wheel to wheel with
Jay's
Wigan.
just gone.
Matt is a bit behind. Yeah, Jay has gone a couple of positions back. But Guides is just now claimed P3 over Wigan. Matt is 4 seconds behind, so something's gone on there. Gonzo's already broken away. 1 second is the gap from Gonzo to Meki. Then half second back to Guides. 3 attempts back to Wigan 71. ABT is doing battle with Snocken at the moment. Down in sector 3. They're going side by side. There's ABT on the inside into the penultimate corner. They bang wheels quite heavily. But into the last corner, ABT with the outside line. But they keep banging wheels. 2 Ferrari-powered cars, 1 Work and 1 Haas. And now ABT sending up in a Haas sandwich here. Heading into the first corner. He's surely going to have to back out of that one. Was it almost made contact. Snocken takes P8, the road J Cushion P9, and ABT losing 2 positions there in P10. What did you make of the J incident earlier? Did he just lose it?
I wasn't sure, I just saw Alpine on the side of the track. Didn't really see it.
Well, he's currently sitting down in P19, only ahead of yourself, so something has obviously not gone quite his way. Looking up to the front, and we have Wigan on the back of Guides, and not too close, not really making that threat obvious yet. Guides is holding on to the back of Meki, but he is slowly losing that little battle. See if he can keep you within DRS range until that comes on.
I think you just have to look from P7 all the way down to P13, all in on a massive, great big line.
Indeed, that is a massive, massive train that is beginning to form. Dard is now right on the back of NC31. Might stick his nose in, heading into the sweeping right-hander, coming into sector 3. Not quite. NC31 holding station on the racing line. This is going to turn a little bit interesting as well. 2 rookies in NEF1. White Widow and NC31 now finding each other on track. How do you reckon that one's going to ensue?
I think NZ will get it, personally. But, again, might come down to maybe he just lets him pass if he's quicker.
Indeed, put on a massive display to NC31 during that sprint race. We'll have to wait and see. BT now doing battle with the 2 Haas cars yet again. It's gonna pass Snocken. It's going to pass the OG Kush, sorry. Where is Snocken over this? He's actually 1.5 seconds ahead. So BT's lost quite a bit of time, and now White Widow has put the move on OG Kush and stepped to P10, and for the first time in NEF1, he's into the points in an NEF1 Grand Prix. So well done to White Widow. See if he can keep it there, because OG Kush and NC31 is right on his chuff. Wigan now within DRS range of Guides as they're coming out. The chicane wasn't able to make anything of it. Iwat's on Danny as well, not too far behind. And then we have that little train that's kind of been broken up now, but Snocken right behind Iwat. BT is going to start catching up to them rather soon, I reckon. And then it's just a couple of tenths of a second between the next runners. OG Kush right on the back of White Widow as we're heading into Sector 3.
It's just interesting to see everyone's line going through that sweeping right-hander. You see so many people go wide, but then you see so many people kind of cut it.
Indeed, and that can allow people who stick to the inside, because obviously the corner comes to you at different parts. If you go for the wide line, you kind of are putting yourself at risk of people sticking a nose in because they think you've unintentionally gone wide, because you do get to the apex faster, you just don't get as good a launch coming out of it, so it is kind of a risk. NC31 is actually getting himself past OG Kush now. But it is risk taking that wider line through the sweeping right-hander. Hybrid now, 3-second time penalty for...
Wigan's close to Geitzer.
Oh, indeed, Wigan's very, very close to Geitzer as we're heading onto the straight, which he was incredibly fast at earlier on in the sprint race, and he is quite fast here as well. He's catching up to Geitzer. But it's not quite close enough to make a move just yet. The gap is about 3 tenths of a second when we get to the braking zone, and 3 tenths of a second as we are exiting the chicane. But that Mercedes is quite handy in a straight line.
Yeah, but then you might see him lose it in tough, slow corners, so...
Indeed, we're coming into the very downforce demanding Sector 3 now. And this is what I was talking about. Guides are taking that wide line and then just shooting away on the exit, whereas Wigan stays a little more tucked into the inside, but he loses that momentum on the exits. That's what I was talking about earlier. Keep your eyes out for those different lines. Sensi has now gone past his teammate, but White Widow's not letting him go at all. Both want to make a point here in their debut. NC from White Widow and OG Kush, now Snixor actually, as he goes around the outside of OG Kush, heading into the penultimate corner and down the inside into the last one. Hard racing between the two Swedes. As I completely missed that as well, Wigan has been able to get past Geitzer Zero actually, and is now back up into a podium position. Absolutely brilliant stuff there from Wigan 71, and Geitzer is going to be pressuring him all the way down the DRS straight. See how handy the Aston Martin is in the straight line. And I think the answer to that one is very handy. Very handy indeed. Clear ahead of Wigan before we get to the braking zone. See, BT's making moves as well. Just got the move done on iWatts. Now 2.6 seconds up the road is Snocken 75, who's going to be his next target. Danny is right on the back of his brother Matty as well. Usually a good scrap to watch those two go at it. I'm sure it's going to be no different
Kush is
this
off.
time. Indeed, OG Kush is off. Something's gone horribly wrong for him. Coming through the flat right-hander. Perhaps just a loss of downforce, and now his tyres are smoking hot, and that's going to allow Hybrid ahead of him. OG Kush having to stay off the racing line there, not to collect Hybrid, but he's going to have to be so careful on his tyres, because there he goes again. OG Kush might be better off heading into the pits at this point, getting rid of those tyres, because he can't keep the car in a straight line at the moment.
I just think that battle from P12 all the way, you could even say P10 all the way back to P16 is just going to be chaos, and whoever pits first means everyone's going to have to then pit straight away after.
Indeed, and at the moment the entire field is so close that most people are going to have to react to some sort of undercut. Unless, if you remember, France is actually a track with the overcut. Can be quite efficient. It has been in real life as well, so I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Also keep your eye on this. Snokken is now right on the back of Danny and Matty. It's turning into a nice little freeway battle for P5 this.
It'd be interesting to see if anyone did hard mediums.
That could definitely be a strategy. Most people are surely going to be trying to go for the hard to medium. Perhaps we've already gotten the mandatory safety car out of this Grand Prix. Now, France isn't really one of those tracks that breed safety cars, is it?
No, not at all. Surprisingly, it was me.
Indeed. But let's see if we do end up having another safety car over the course of the Grand Prix. Snokken now on the back of Danny. It's looking surprisingly quick in a straight line. Danny's red light's already flashing. Perhaps just overusing his battery a little bit, leaving himself vulnerable here. Snokken gets a good exit coming out of turn 2, and he's placing himself right in attention for Danny's P6 at the moment.
Yeah, I raced against Snokken, and I think it was with Djokovic. I can't quite remember where it was, but
as
very
Dard,
quick driver.
Hold on, let me just interrupt you. Dard has had an issue coming out of turn 1 and 2. Probably just losing it on the inside apex of turn 1, actually, and he's now down in P16. Sorry to interrupt you there.
So I was just saying about Snokken, good driver. I think it was at Saudi Arabia,
Indeed,
maybe?
Very good driver, and he's about to prove it, just heading towards the inside of Danny. Not quite, though. Could have potentially made that move work, but didn't want to risk anything. Stays P7 for the time being. All meanwhile, so we're actually dropping a beat, dropping about half second per lap on the two. And then we have this little battle from P10 down to P15, all separated by about 3 seconds.
Snokken just got the move done on Danny, on the sweeping right-hander.
Indeed, lovely little move if I would have seen it. Danny's surely going to be pressed to get that one back. Now let's see if Snokken and Matty actually start shaking Danny a little bit with that poor ERS level that Danny's having. He's not going to be able to mount much of a comeback fight.
I think Matty will be okay. He's on 98%.
Well, usually good with his battery, Matty MC. Always plays the long game, but he does get a little bit uncomfortable coming out of turn 2. I don't know if you noticed that little twitch of the steering wheel, but that cost him about a tenth of a second. Snokken is putting the pressure on him. Because yes, ERS here and ERS there, but the DRS can do a lot of things to you, and Snokken's car looks rather handy in a straight line. So let's see now, surely Matt is going to be going into defensive mode. Let's see how much Snokken catches up to him. Not an insignificant amount, he'll be there in a lap or two, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have yellow flags, and that is a Red Bull. That is Watts, who's had an issue off track right before the DRS zone. Forcing Hybrid to go the long way round. Watts down in P17 after an issue coming out of the snaily part in Sector 2. But then the field now is starting to spread out just that little bit. As we're currently on lap 11 out of 27. We're approaching halfway marks during this Grand Prix. Lap 14, so a golden mark to watch out for. But then Snokken on Matty on the main, or on the start-finish straight. Not really able to do anything there.
We've had our first two pit stops.
Indeed, that is Snixor and White Widow into the pit lane for the pair of them. Let's see if that triggers everyone. Lap 12 out of 27. And I would imagine those are two medium runners coming out of, coming into the pits.
Yeah.
Everyone else on hard tires might still have to react. Overtaking doesn't seem too easy here. they might genuinely have to react and go on a different strategy.
Ooh.
You don't want to lose track position. Here goes Snocken on Matty MC. Down the inside into the chicane. He makes that move work. Matty is going to fight this one to the very, very end. But coming out of the hairpin, he does get to run on Snocken. He's going to head inside, outside, into the sweeping right-hander. Indeed, he does use the ERS, and down the inside into the sweeping right-hander. Snocken fights it round the outside, and the side-by-side, heading into the next corner. Wide line, inside line, what is going to cut it? Snocken goes for the wide line. Is he going to be able to cut across? He's still there, heading into the sweeping left-hander. Surely one of these two are going to have to budge now. And it is going to be Snocken who has to budge. Finally, Matty with a brilliant defense stays in P5. And what a little bit of racing action between Matty and Snocken there.
And this has just helped out Danny massively.
Indeed, and it is not over because Snocken still has the momentum. He knows that he can go toe-to-toe with Matty whilst draining Matty's battery quite a bit per lap as well. And now, well, he's not had enough of this one. He's going to be going for a next lap as well. But Danny slowly, actually, if you notice, is starting to fall into the clutches of certain ABT.
Yeah, as well.
ABT is starting to get brought into play into this one. Is he going to be able to do anything about it? If you look at the gaps, it's not a massive gap to the leaders from, well, I'd say P8 upwards.
No. I think sometimes in this league, I think just being out of trouble is better than maybe fighting for positions, just because.
Absolutely. Because just look at what Matty and Snocken's fighting did to the gap that they had to Danny. Danny's now outside the 1 second gap again, but it did bring him right into play, and ABT's getting it brought into play every single lap here as well. Also reporting that with those pit stops, that little train we had from P10 downwards has kind of been broken up. Djokovic is now sitting in P10, second in the championship. This is a horrible race for his championship contention.
Yeah, we've been hit both times into turn 1, so as much as you can do as much as recovery as you can, but when you keep getting hit or hitting somebody and, you know, I'm not saying any hits.
Indeed, it's a tough one. And to demoralize everyone even further, Gonzo has now set the fastest lap of this session so far. Currently out 3.2 seconds in lead of the Grand Prix. Meki sticking with him, just can't get close enough to mount an offense. Snocken, 3 second time penalty, and that could be huge for Danny and BT, who is now within striking distance of Danny DC. So then it's Red Bull v Ferrari. We saw this once or twice last season. Let's see then if ABT can push past Danny here. Indeed, Snocken once again with Matty MC. Then are we going to have a similar scene play out as we did 2 laps ago? Snocken up 10 positions this Grand Prix so far. It's having a driver of the day performance. Let's see then Matty using a little bit of that ERS, trying to power into the sweeping right hand. It might take a little bit of a different approach this time, but I think Snocken has got the position this time around. Matty's not going to be able to fight this one. He's going to have to hang back, trying to get a good exit coming out the sweeping right-hander. But Snocken, for the time being, has P5. But by no means is that position secure, because Matty's right on his tail. So there we go, Snocken heads into the pit lane on those hard tires. Lap 15 out of 27, medium tires are surely going to go on. Danny, 5 second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. He's going to allow some free air to ABT. Never had to fight Danny. Danny got out of his way. See where BT can push on towards Matty now. But apart from that, nothing much really going on at the moment. Snocken coming out then of the pit lane in P11, just out of downstyle, crucial to get out ahead of the Alpine. And he does have some breathing room to Dard, who's next up in line as well. Danny coming up behind Darnstall. It's going to further hinder his race, and just ahead of Hybrid, who might be able to launch an offensive here on the back DRS straight. But lap 15, now he's going to start seeing, well, basically everyone coming to the pit lane soon, you reckon?
Yeah, unless you're maybe out of a bit of trouble. You've got a couple of seconds between people. I think if your tyres are good, you could even maybe hold these out until lap 23, maybe, and then stick on a pair of softs and just go for it until the end.
Well, we're getting our answer now. Meki5724 heading into the pit lane, so is Gaita. Gonzo staying out, opting for an overcut here. Not too worried. 3.6 seconds though is not a massive lead. He's going to have to come in next lap. Wigan heading into the pits as well. Matty forced to stay out. Yet again, another 5-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane for Cool Ice Cube. Unnecessary penalty to get.
To be fair,
very, very
it does
easy
sneak
to get
up on you.
around this track. Indeed, very much does. This is a weird pit entry, and it is a lethal pit exit, as NC31 is about to show us. As we have cars coming up behind him, and he's going to be launched straight into the racing line. Iwas has to go to the inside to get that move done. He's up in the P12, is Iwas. NC31 now on a set of soft or on a set of medium tires, gonna have to go to work. But then we're looking at Djokovic, we're looking at ABT, Matti and Gonzo. What a safety car! Or what a safety car would do for the outlook of this Grand Prix for the time being. Gonzo surely is going to be coming into the pits this lap. Yes, he is. Very, very fast pit lane entry. Nice and easy on the brakes, and into the pits we go for, I would assume, is a set of medium tires. Let's see just how much ground Meki's been able to claw into that lead though. Matti coming in as well. BT staying out for yet another lap. I think Djokovic is as well. Maybe just holding on for a safety car here. Want to go very, very long on that hard tire. Do what they can.
But he could also slow up Gonzo if his teammate gets a move on.
Indeed, could very much do so, because Gonzo's lead has decreased ever so slightly. Let's see then. Not too easy overtaking around here. Let's see if ABT comes into play to get Meki perhaps. I don't know if it'd be his maiden win of the season. Could be. Danny, fastest lap of the session so far, 34.3 is the time to be. Gives him an extra point. Let's see how quickly Gonzo eats into that lead that ABT currently has. 6 seconds is the gap right now.
Now got Snockin, Danny and Matty in a line with each other now.
Indeed, and just ahead of them is Dard on an old set of hard tires. It's going to be an absolute corkscrew here. And he's going to drop back maybe a bit too much when he goes into a box for a set of medium tires. Perhaps opting for a set of softs and try to be aggressive at the end, but he might be calling this one a bit too late. Danny getting past him rather easily as well, just Matty to Govan. Fresh mediums versus very, very worn hards at this point. Shouldn't quite be a match.
Djokovic has got a 5-second penalty.
Indeed, that is crucial for his race. Won't impact his actual on-track position, but it is going to impact his finishing position. Meki, fastest lap out of anyone so far. Crucially, he's taking time out of Gonzo's lead. He seems to be working well on these medium tires. Danny now with Snockin and Wigan. Same battle still. Wigan has lost touch of Gaitze, however. Gap's about 4.2 seconds. Those two were fighting for a podium earlier. I reckon that battle is over for the time being, as we have 9 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. As Gonzo is now eating into that advantage that BT has. Gap was 6 seconds, now 3.5. 2.5 seconds in about 2 laps. And BT is staying out. Might be trying to do everything he can here for Meki to catch up. Might be playing the Sergio Perez game, ABT here. Now, if you were Meki in this situation, would you have noticed this already? Or are you just so focused on your own that you don't really pay attention to it unless it's right in front of you?
Well, they might have spoken about it before, but I was most of the time, this was me for a BT last year, holding the people up that maybe were fighting with him. So, might be his turn to switch it around a bit. But I think Meki will know this. He's there, because obviously you'll see it on the little graphic on the top left, but he'll be thinking, get as close as I can.
Look at the time right now that he's losing to Gonzo. Gap was about 3 seconds, now 4. Lost a second in less than a lap. Which is worrying for Meki that ABT is going to have to hold up Gonzo a lot here if he wants that to have any effect.
You saw with Matty and Snocker when they were battling, Danny was 3 seconds behind and he then became in with a second.
Indeed, it does happen quite quickly, everything. Snocker now right on the back of Wigan, about 2 tenths behind. Also while we're keeping an eye on Gonzo's catching up to BT. BT was going to be tempted putting a couple of foul moves maybe in on Gonzo on the defense, just costing him as much as time as possible. But here we go, that gap is now just over a second.
Well, if Gonzo can get him on that straight, I don't think there's much BT can do about it, really. If he gets him onto the straight.
No. Yeah, not too much. And those tires have significant difference. I don't think mission's overly successful for ABT here. Gonzo's just going to fly past him on a straight. And that's going to be easy as you like for SGF1 Gonzo. Reclaims the lead. Oh, actually BT is fighting this one a little bit. Perhaps just out of pure desperation. Gonzo has to go off track. But he is still fighting this one very, very hard. Round the outside of BT, and they are slowing each other down, but they're going to be slowing each other down even further now. As we're heading into the snaily sector 3, Gonzo just dropping back a little bit. BT still hanging with him by everything he can. He is still hanging with this battle. Finally, Gonzo has that position on a BT. He did
BT's
go
got
off
a box
track.
now, isn't he? No.
Indeed, BT surely should be diving straight into the pit lane. There's nothing he can do about this one. No, he sticks it out for one more lap. Does he think he have enough to really challenge Gonzo, really? With the amount of battery that he does have. Or just want those soft tires at the end of the Grand Prix, perhaps?
Snock Gonzo also overtaken Wigan.
DDS up in P5. Meki hasn't really been brought into play any further. He's kind of dropped off a little bit on these medium tires. It doesn't quite have the pace that he did on those hards. Just have a look at the state of those hards on both ABT and Dart, both 20 laps old. Same for Hybrid. They just want those soft tires.
Yeah, he can get fastest lap as well, which obviously then might take a point away from Gonzo.
Indeed, could do. Gonzo currently sitting on the fastest lap at 20 or 133.7 if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, Meki getting quite close to it, but not that close. So I'll have to wait and see how it unfolds over the next 6 laps of racing that we still have remaining. It's going to be a quite quick NEF1 event tonight, actually. with the sprint going by without a hitch. But ABT now has started to drop off on Gon, so he's going to be staying out for yet another lap. Meki not catching up to his teammate as fast as he would have been hoping for. BT
Now he
finally
goes
comes
in.
into the pit lane. And he gets a 5-second time penalty for his troubles.
Thing is, if the
that
safety
is an
car comes out and
added
everyone
insult to
pits,
me,
they all
yeah.
lose their 5-second time penalties, which could also cause a bit of chaos as well at the end. Oh, sector 1.
Oh, indeed. Sector 1
Oh,
yellow
JV8
flag.
spun.
Indeed, that is JV8 who is having a miserable evening in his help. BT now is going to be coming out in what I'd assume is going to be P8 to P9 perhaps if he gets overtaken by NC and Dodd. P10 actually, but he is on a much Supreme soft tire.
Dodd
he's
hasn't
going to
even
have
pitted
Dodd
yet.
basically straight away. No, Dart hasn't pitted yet, so he's provisionally P9. And look at how much he closes in on the braking there on Dart, and that's on stone cold tires.
Oh,
Once the two make contact, BT's actually got to be careful with this one so he doesn't hit the back of Dart, but Dart is becoming so slow on these tires that he's actually becoming a liability, and it's actually caused BT a position to Djokovic.
and Danny's just got Wigan now. Obviously, Danny's got a 5-second time penalty, so...
Indeed, Wiggins falling back. Next in line is his teammate. Just looking at the gap between the leaders, now 4.3 seconds. Gonzo looks like he might be cruising to a quite comfortable victory here. Wiggins still right on the back of Danny trying to fight this one. BT just slipping down the inside of Dard. Easy as you like. Dard just going a little bit wide, and BT says thank you very much, no drama. And now, just look at the amount of traction he has over Djokovic coming out of certain corners or through certain corners. Those soft tires really come into their own here at the opening stages of his stint. Last 4 laps to go then for BT. Djokovic defends the outside for turn 1 hybrid. Gets a 3-second time penalty for 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. JV gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting.
I just want to know when Dard's going to pit.
Well, he might just wait until the last possible moment, but he is cutting it too far in because chance of points are now well gone. Safety car isn't going to be coming out this race, surely. Matt is just overtaking Wigan. Wigan has faded on this medium stint. Now 7 seconds back to NC31. Surely Matty and Wigan now got to play a bit of a team game to make sure that doesn't happen, surely. Four laps to go still. A lot can still happen. We can still have a safety car for another lap or two, but unlikely at the moment. Only one retirement so far in the Grand Prix, and that is our beloved SFLY Jamar. Wigan right now then on the start-finish straight, about 1 second behind Matty. Still has the DRS on him though, crucial for him, and he's closing that gap but not nearly by enough. As JV8's having even more issues in sector 2, I believe. I saw yellow flag. Say BT fastest lap out of anyone, 33.396, secures an extra point.
Thing is, if Matty and Wigan can keep up with Danny and Snocken, they both get P4 and 5. So
indeed, it'd be a good result for Mercedes if they could just keep picking up those consistent point finishes, whilst no other team can really score with a high point with both their cars. That's why Mercedes are so high up. They're both there every single week. Red Bull primarily at the moment relying on Danny, Ferrari primarily relying on Meki. I guess Aston Martin relying on both drivers as showed this week. Djokovic leading Geitz in the drivers, but at the moment Geitz outscoring Djokovic heavily here in the Grand Prix. But here we go, and NC right on the back of BT actually, and is closing that gap.
I wouldn't be surprised if those tyres have got off already.
2 laps in, could be getting quite hot if nothing else. See if BT starts having tyre issues, but surely not after 2 laps. As Matty is fancying a move on Danny DC on track. Not quite close enough this time.
You'll get him going down that back straight there.
Indeed, on slightly better tyres than Danny, and as previously mentioned, Matty is usually quite good with battery management as well, so he does have quite a bit to play with. And here we go, Matty on Danny, heading down into the chicane. And well, there's nothing Danny's going to be able to do about that one. Matty has P5. As Djokovic is now having a look at NC heading into the chicane, not close enough to think about something quite yet. Moving 2 laps, not an impossibility. He does have that 5-second time penalty to account for. Dard is still on those godforsaken hard tires. He's been on them for the entire race. He has to pit this lap.
Could he
technically
put on the last lap?
Race?
Because obviously he doesn't go past the finish line until...
I don't actually know if he could, but then again he wouldn't score any points. I don't see what a point would be.
He's not scoring any points anyway.
I know,
Currently
but what's Dard's angle been this Grand Prix? Because he has been in quite good positions.
There we go.
And he's been good on pace. There we go for Dard. 5-second time penalty for added insult. Couldn't get the car slowed down on those god-awful hard tyres. Love to know what damage level those will be on right now.
They must be on 80, surely. Must be close to.
Yeah, somewhere along those lines, if not even worse. Djokovic now right on the back of NC. We're on the penultimate lap for our leaders. They're halfway through as well. Gonzo leading Meki is about to lap JV8 here.
Oh, Wigan.
Oh no, has Wigan perhaps dropped it ever so slightly? Indeed, on the second DRS straight, Wigan has dropped it. Now down into P10. Snixor is not going to be any competition for him, but Wigan losing a lot of points there to, well, primarily NC31, who is penalty 3. Just losing a lot of time as well. Being very, very good on the re-entry to track, though, not heating his tyres up even further. Lap 27 out of 27, then we're on the last lap of the Grand Prix, and Gonzo has a comfortable advantage over Meki and Gaitzes, knocking in P4 and Matty in P5. That's going to change at the end of the Grand Prix due to post-race penalties. But we'll keep an eye on that in a moment's time. Danny's driven a solid race in P6. BT has had a brilliant recovery in P7. NC31 really impressing me in his NEF1 debut here, up in P8, holding off a former NEF1 champion in Djokovic, it appears like.
Might be close down this back straight.
Indeed, could be. I don't think NC31 is going to be too asked with that time penalty that Djokovic has.
Of course, yeah.
But obviously it's a pride thing as well for races. You do want that position on track if you can. Djokovic just backing off, not really feeling the need to go for it. But then it's been supremacy from start to finish for this man. SGF1 Gonzo is on his way to yet another win here in NEF1. He's been unchallenged for basically the entire race, and Gonzo picks up the checkered flag, takes the 25 points, and increases his lead in the drivers' standings. Meki finishes a solid P2, followed by Gaitse in P3. OG Kush 5-second time penalty for an unserved penalty. Won't have to worry about that one. Matty takes P4 of his knock-in, and Danny finishes P6. Beat is about to cross the line, stays 7th, and C31 takes that position on time penalties though. Wigan takes P9 over his son Djokovic in P10. Then we have Snixor and Dodd finishing outside the point. White Widow had a very, very quiet one, but a solid one nonetheless in his debut in P13. Finishes third of profile names of iWatts and Cool Ice Cubes. Hybrids actually DNF'd at the last lap of the Grand Prix. He's going to be disappointed with that one. iWatts crossing the line then to finish in P12 in total after the time penalties are done after Dodd. Cool Ice Cube P15, followed by Darren Style in P16. OG Kush and JV8 P18 and P19. Even though Hybrid did DNF, still finishes ahead of Kush and JV8. But then, just to summarize, SGF1 Gonzo wins the Grand Prix. Well-earned win, surely?
Yeah, 100%. What was it? Start to finish from the sprint and all the way through the race as well. Couldn't have been more dominant than that, I